Part 3. Hot Water. Chapter 20. Kimmy Must Die. Corky drifted back into a troubled sleep. When she awoke again, sunlight was streaming in through her bedroom windows, the curtains fluttering in a soft breeze. She sat up, stretching, and stared down at the foot of her bed into the bulging eyes of a hideous orange-fleshed face covered with stitched-up scars. Corky opened her mouth to scream, but then recognized the intruder as Sean's rubber mask from Halloween. Sean must have placed it on the bedpost while she slept. "Way to go, Sean," she said out loud, shaking her head. Reaching over, she pulled the disgusting mask off its perch and tossed it into the corner. "My little brother is a real monster," she thought. As she lowered her feet to the floor and stretched again, the images of her dream, the images from Sarah Fear's memory, came back, forced themselves vividly into her mind, as vividly as if she had lived them herself. "But how can I kill myself?" she asked herself, staring at the rubber mask she had tossed to the floor. "Never see Sean again? Never see my parents again? Never go out? Never fall in love? Never get married? Have a family? Have a life? I'm only 16, Corky thought miserably. 16! Too young to die. No, she declared out loud. No way! She thought of Bobby. Poor Bobby. She never lived long enough to do anything. I owe it to Bobby, Corky thought, standing up unsteadily, her mind racing. I owe it to my poor dead sister to go on living, to have a full life, a full, happy life. But how? She could sense the evil stirring inside her. Waking, it started to dull her thoughts, and she began to fade into the background. She began to drift away inside her own body. I'm going to ignore it, Corky decided. That's how I'll deal with it. I'll ignore it, and it will go away. If it tries to do something terrible, I can deal with it. I know I can. I just won't cooperate. If I ignore it, or if I fight it, I'll ignore it, and then... She knew she wasn't thinking clearly, but how could she? Her room was so far away, the windows so tiny and distant, the light so dim. No! She cried, struggling to resist the force taking over her mind. No! I'm ignoring you! She heard cruel laughter. Then her bedroom walls began to quake. No! The flowers, the red carnations, the blue gardenias, all the flowers on the wallpaper started to spin. No! The flowers spun wildly, then flew off the wallpaper, spinning up to the ceiling. No! Please! No! Corky heard the laughter again, loud laughter inside her head as the red and blue flowers rained down on her. Another peal of cruel laughter. Turning away from the wall, Corky quickly pulled on a pair of gray sweatpants and a wrinkled blue t-shirt. Then she ran out onto the landing and started down the stairs. But as she stepped onto the first one, a row of razor blades popped up from the carpet. Ow! She cried out as her bare foot nearly missed getting sliced. Leaning on the banister, she stared down as razor blades popped up with a loud snap on each step. She flung herself onto the banister and slid down on her stomach. The banister was burning hot by the time she leapt off at the bottom. "Corky, what on earth?" her mother exclaimed. She was standing in the hallway, a bundle of dirty clothes in her arms. "Oh, sorry, Mom," Corky said, swallowing hard. She looked up at the stairs. The razor blades were gone. "You slept so late," Mrs. Corcoran said, dropping the clothes by the basement steps. "It's almost noon." Corky opened her mouth to speak, but what could she say? No words came out. She followed her mother into the kitchen. "I'm going to fry up a couple of eggs for you," Corky's mom said, gazing fretfully at her daughter. "You look hungry." "Yes," Corky said weakly. She hoped her mother didn't see how hard she was breathing, how her entire body was trembling, trying to steady herself, to appear calm, Corky climbed onto a stool at the kitchen counter and watched as Mrs. Corcoran made 2 eggs. "Toast? Juice?" her mother asked. "I guess," Corky replied, struggling to keep her voice low and steady, struggling against the wild, swirling thoughts in her head. Her mother stared at her, as if examining her. "You feeling okay, Corky?" "No, Mom. I'm inhabited by an evil spirit. It's inside me, controlling me, and I can't do anything about it." "Very funny," Mrs. Corcoran said sarcastically, rolling her eyes. She tapped her metal spatula beside the frying pan. "Do all teenagers develop such a gross sense of humor, or is it just a specialty of yours?" "I'm telling the truth, Mom, but you don't want to hear it, do you? You don't want to believe it." "Where is Sean?" Corky asked. The words weren't hers. The evil spirit was forcing her to change the subject. "He and your dad are at his baseball game," Mrs. Corcoran replied. She scraped the eggs from the pan. "You haven't spent much time with your brother lately." "He left me a little reminder of himself this morning," Corky said, picturing the gruesome rubber mask. Her mother deposited the 2 fried eggs on a plate and set it down in front of Corky. "Get your toast when it's ready," she said, and disappeared to deal with the laundry. Corky stared down at the eggs, then reluctantly picked up her fork. As she gazed at the plate, the eggs shimmered, then transformed themselves. Corky's mouth dropped open as she now stared at 2 enormous, wet eyeballs. "No!" The eyeballs stared back at her, their color darkening to gray. Then the gray became a sickening green, the green of decay, and a foul odor rose up from the plate. As the putrid aroma filled the air, the eyeballs shriveled and wrinkled. Corky gagged and leapt off the stool. The laughter, the cruel, cold laughter, followed her as she ran blindly back up to her room. "I give up," she thought, flinging herself face down on her bed. She started to sob, but her breath caught in her throat. A wave of nausea swept over her as she felt the evil force move within her. The phone rang. It took her a while to recognize the sound. It rang again. Again. "Hello?"
"Hello, Corky. It's me."
"Kimmy." "Hi, Kimmy. How's it going?" She tried to sound casual, but her voice broke.
"Okay. I was just worried about you,"
Kimmy replied.
"I haven't seen you since camp. And you were so sick and everything. I mean, it was just such a disaster. Are you better? I mean, are you okay?"
Why is Kimmy calling? Corky asked herself bitterly. She isn't my friend, she thought, her features tightening in an unpleasant expression of hatred. Kimmy has never been my friend. She tried to kill me once, tried to drown me.
"I saw Hannah yesterday, and she said she hadn't seen you either,"
Kimmy continued brightly.
"So Hannah and I were just wondering—"
Don't worry, Corky thought coldly. I'll be seeing Hannah soon, very soon. And when I see her, Hannah won't be happy to see me. I'm feeling better, Corky told Kimmy.
"Oh, good!"
Kimmy exclaimed.
"I really was worried about you. I mean, after all that went down, you know?"
Yes, I do know, Kimmy thought angrily. I do know what you're talking about, Kimmy. And I do know that you know too much. You have to die, Corky decided. You have to die now, Kimmy. Hey, Kimmy, are you doing anything this afternoon? Corky asked, winding the phone cord around her wrist.
"No, not really,"
Kimmy replied.
"Why? You want to hang out or something?"
Yeah, Corky answered quickly. I really want to talk to you.
"Great!"
Kimmy exclaimed.
"I want to talk to you too."
Can you meet me up on River Ridge in about a half an hour? Corky asked. River Ridge was a high cliff overlooking the Kananaka River.
"River Ridge?"
Kimmy sounded surprised.
"Sure, I guess. See you in a half an hour."
Corky untwisted the cord from her arm and replaced the receiver. Kimmy must die in water, she decided, picturing the high cliff and the river flowing beneath it. Kimmy must die the way Sarah Fear died, the way my sister Bobby died. Now. Chapter 21. Kimmy Dies. Dark storm clouds filtered out the sun, casting a wash of eerie yellow over the afternoon sky. The air was heavy and wet, and very still. There was no wind. Corky left her car at the end of the road and walked across the hard ground to the cliff edge. Behind her, the silent woods darkened as the black clouds hovered lower. There was no one else around. Standing on the rocky ledge that jutted out over the steep drop, Corky stared down at the wide brown river below. The Kananaka, she saw, was high on its banks, flowing rapidly, a steady rush of sound rising up the cliff. Ever since moving to Shadyside, Corky had enjoyed coming up to River Ridge. It was the highest spot around. Beyond the river, she could see the town stretched out like some kind of model or miniature. To the north, the woods formed a winding, dark ribbon on the horizon. It's so peaceful up here, Corky thought. Even though she could still see Shadyside, she felt far away from it, as if she were floating over the town in a tranquil world of her own. Corky took a step back and glanced at her watch. Where was Kimmy? Let's get this show on the road, she thought impatiently. She gazed up at the darkening sky, the black clouds so low now over her head. It's so humid, she thought. The air is so still and sticky. She realized she was perspiring, her t-shirt clinging to her back. The back of her neck started to itch. Come on, Kimmy. Don't you want to see the surprise I have for you? I'm going to give Kimmy a flying lesson, she thought, her lips forming a cruel smile. A flying lesson, and then a drowning lesson. Hearing a car door slam behind her, Corky turned. Kimmy, dressed in a cropped red shirt over blue lycra bike shorts, walked quickly toward her. Kimmy's car was parked next to hers at the end of the road.
Think it's okay to park here?
Kimmy asked. Sure, Corky answered. There's no one else around. And you won't need it to leave, Corky added to herself. Kimmy's round cheeks were bright pink. Her crimped black hair was damp and disheveled.
I thought it would be cooler up here,
she complained, brushing a strand of hair from over her eyes. You'll be cooler in a moment, Corky thought. There's no wind at all today, Corky said. Look at the trees. They both turned their gaze back at the woods.
Not a leaf moving,
Kimmy said, and focused on Corky, a questioning expression on her face.
What are we doing up here?
Corky chuckled. I don't know. I thought it would be a nice place to talk, you know? Kimmy glanced up at the rain-heavy clouds.
We're going to get drenched.
That would feel good, Corky said, and took a step toward the cliff's edge. Kimmy followed her.
You're feeling better?
Kimmy asked with genuine concern. Corky nodded. Yeah, a lot. And I'm going to feel even better in a few seconds, Corky thought to herself.
That was so terrible at camp,
Kimmy said.
I mean, you getting sick like that? What a disaster!
Yeah, what a disaster, Corky repeated with a grim smile.
And all that stupid stuff with Hannah,
Kimmy added, avoiding Corky's eyes.
You know, I didn't do any of that stuff to her. You believe me, don't you?
Yes, of course, Corky replied. I didn't do it either.
So, what do you think?
Kimmy asked, turning to face Corky, searching her face.
I mean, what do you think happened?
I think Hannah did those things to herself, Corky told her, forcing herself to keep a straight face.
The scalding bath? The braid?
I think she faked the scalding bath, Corky said in a low voice. I think she just screamed and carried on. I don't think she was really burned, just a little red.
And you think she cut her own hair?
Kimmy asked. Corky nodded solemnly.
But why?
Kimmy asked shrilly. To get both of us in trouble, Corky said. To make us look bad. To get us kicked off the squad so she could be the star.
Wow!
Kimmy's mouth dropped open in dismay.
I never thought of that. Never. It never occurred to me that Hannah...
Her voice trailed off as she thought about it. Well, what did you think? Corky asked sharply. That I did it? Did you suspect me, Kimmy?
No!
Kimmy protested, her cheeks reddening.
No, I didn't, Corky. I didn't know what to think. I knew the evil spirit had to be around. I knew the evil had to be responsible, but I didn't know where. I mean, I didn't know who. I just...
Corky felt a drop of rain on her forehead. Enough stalling around, she thought. I'd better get this over with. The evil is around, Corky said, lowering her voice to a whisper. She felt another large raindrop, this time on top of her head, then one on her shoulder.
Huh?
Again, Kimmy's mouth dropped open in surprise.
You mean Hannah? Do you think it's inside Hannah?
Maybe, Corky replied mysteriously.
It's starting to rain,
Kimmy said, holding out her palms.
Maybe we should go back to your car and talk.
Okay, Corky replied. But first, look down there. She pointed straight down over the cliff's edge. I've been trying to figure out what that is, but I can't.
What?
Kimmy leaned over and peered down at the rushing river. Corky reached out and shoved Kimmy hard. Kimmy uttered a loud shriek as she went over the side, her arms thrashing wildly as she dropped head first. A grin spread over Corky's face as she stood, hands on hips, and watched Kimmy plunge to her death. Chapter 22. Triumph of Evil. Kimmy is dead. Corky said the words out loud, a triumphant smile spreading across her face. Raindrops fell gently, a few at a time. Standing on the cliff edge, Corky peered down at the brown flowing river water. Kimmy is dead. Still smiling, Corky started to leave, but from somewhere deep inside her, a muffled voice shouted,
No!
She hesitated. I have to leave now. Kimmy is dead. Now I have to take care of Deborah. And again, the distant, muffled voice cried out,
No!
The smile faded on Corky's face, and her eyes narrowed unpleasantly.
No!
The rain fell harder. The gentle ping on the ground became a steady drum roll. I have to finish Deborah now.
No!
The protesting voice was Corky's, the real Corky, trying to make herself heard, struggling to regain control.
No! I can't let this happen!
The real Corky's voice grew stronger. I am in control now, the evil force cried out. Stay back! I'm warning you. No! Corky called out with renewed strength. No! From somewhere deep in her own mind, Corky lashed out, pushed her way forward, pressing against the heavy evil. The horror of Kimmy's death, the horror of what Corky had just done, had reached through the evil, had brought Corky to life. She knew she had no choice. She had to fight it, now. Stay back, the ancient evil warned. Stay back where you belong. No! Corky fought back, struggling within herself, struggling blindly as the ground disappeared, along with the sky, the trees, everything. She was nowhere, in a gray limbo, fighting a foe she couldn't see, fighting herself.
I have to die, she told herself. I have to die now.
Another part of her said,
No, I cannot die. I'm too young. I want to live. Die, and force this evil to die with you. No, I can't die. I'm too afraid. I want to live. You cannot live with this ghastly thing inside you. You must die to save your friends, your family.
Get back, growled the evil inside her head. Get back now! No, Corky cried.
Kimmy,
she screamed. Kimmy, I'm so sorry. I am evil, Corky told herself. I am evil, and I must die. I must live, the evil force declared. Get back or suffer 1,000 deaths inside your own body. No! With a final scream, Corky spun around and stepped off the cliff's edge. She stopped to peer down, her chest heaving, her blood pulsing against her temples. No, I can't do it. I can't, she screamed. I'm too young. I can't. She felt the evil stir, rising up heavily, triumphantly inside her. I can't. I can't. She took a step back, defeated. I can't die. I won't die. Others will die, the evil spirit said inside her. We will live forever. Chapter 23. Into the Water. Let us go, the evil said. We have work to do. Corky obediently took another step back. Then suddenly, impulsively, courageously, she stopped. Raising both fists to the dark sky, she shut her eyes and uttered a howl of anguish, and plunged off the cliff. The fall was like a dream. Was that her screaming all the way down? She hit the water hard and instantly sank into the murky brown depths. I must live, the evil protested. But Corky dived toward the river bottom. The strong current swept her along, down, down, down. She started to choke. The thick, muddy water poured into her open mouth. She tasted the grit, the sourness of it. I'm choking. I'm going to die. But I don't want to die. I want to live. I can't drown. I can't die. I have to live. I have to. But I can't. I have no choice. I have made my choice. To die. She gasped in another mouthful of the thick, disgusting water, and choked violently as she thrashed helplessly under the dark waters. As she choked, the evil began to erupt from her mouth. She thrashed blindly as the force flowed out of her, blasting the water, churning it, heating it with its evil. Hotter. The water grew hotter as Corky thrashed and choked. Hotter. Until the river boiled, and still the evil poured out. The evil flowed into the churning brown waters, protesting its fate. A howl of fury rising in Corky's ears, raging through the tossing waters. Hotter. The brown water bubbled and boiled up. Tall geysers erupted toward the black sky. Even hotter. Corky writhed in pain as the water scalded her struggling body. I'm dying. Dying. She felt suddenly light. The evil had departed. And then heavier again. Heavy with the thick water that choked her, filling her lungs. I'm drowning! She heard the evil spirit's startled cry. I'm drowning! And then Corky drowned. She felt as if she were shrinking. Shrinking until she was nothing but a tiny acorn floating in the water. Then a dot, a lifeless dot. She knew the evil spirit had shrunk too, and knowing this, she died. Chapter 24. Another Death. Raindrops pelted the tumultuous, tossing waters. Steam rose up from the boiling surface, forming an eerie white ceiling of fog over the river. Corky's body floated to the top, bobbing like a small rubber raft. Watching from the depths, the evil spirit uttered its own death cry, an unending wail of despair. Its power boiled the water, pushing the river over its banks, sent high waves crashing against the cliff beside it. The thunder of the crashing waves drowned out the thunder in the sky. The anguished howl of the ancient evil weakened and began to fade. The water still bubbled and steamed. You can't die, the spirit wailed, tossing Corky's body over the surface. You cannot die. You cannot betray me. I am you. You are me. You cannot die. Weaker. The waters began to cool. The eerie white steam drifted apart in the heavy rain. Weaker. I won't let you die, the ancient force declared. Gathering its strength, it pushed the waters beneath Corky, pushed her up until she rose above the water, suspended in the white mist. I won't let you die. You are free now. You are out of the water. You are free. Hovering over the water like a sagging helium balloon, Corky's body slumped lifelessly, her head back, her eyes staring blindly up at the storm clouds. No! The evil spirit's wail of defeat rose like a siren, then faded to silence. Corky's body dropped back into the water without making a splash. You are dead, the spirit admitted. And in dying, you have killed me. Now the thunder in the sky roared louder than the crash of the ebbing waves. In the crash, the spirit was thrown from her body. The river flowed quietly again. The water quickly cooled. The evil faded, then disappeared, washed away forever in the rain-stirred brown river current. Chapter 25. A Smile. Kimmy had hit the water hard, on her stomach, and then plunged to the bottom. Paralyzed from shock, she could do nothing but let the current move her. But the cold water quickly revived her. Raising both arms and kicking off the soft river floor, she forced her way to the surface, in time to see Corky's dive. Sheets of rain blinded Kimmy as she struggled against the current to get to her friend. The tossing waves pushed her back. The water heated up, boiled, and swirled. What's going on? Kimmy wondered, ducking under the waves, stroking desperately, her feet kicking the hot, frothy water.
What is happening? I can't get to you, Corky. I can't get there. Please be okay. Please, 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 please.
The word became an endless chant in her mind. The sky darkened as the torrents of rain pelted down. Kimmy searched in vain for Corky, and then, to her amazement, to her horror, she thought she saw Corky rise up from the water. Squinting through the rain, pulling against the current, Kimmy stared at the figure hovering in the white mist, floating over the surface of the water, suspended in air.
Corky!
Kimmy swallowed a mouthful of hot brown water. Choking and sputtering, she struggled to breathe. When she looked back up, Corky was gone. Had she slipped back into the water? Or had she been some kind of mirage, merely Kimmy's imagination?
Corky! I can't get to you! Where are you? Where are you? Be okay. Please, 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 please.
An object floated on the surface, bobbing on the waves, carried by the strong current. Kimmy shrieked as she recognized Corky's lifeless form. Gasping for each breath, her arms aching, her chest about to explode, Kimmy swam frantically toward Corky's body. Remembering her life-saving course, Kimmy grabbed Corky in a cross-chest carry and paddled desperately against the current.
Dead! Dead! Corky is dead!
Kimmy pulled Corky onto the grassy shore, then stood up unsteadily. Her legs trembled as she gasped, sucking in air, not noticing the cold rain beating down on her. When she knew her heart wasn't going to explode, Kimmy dropped to her knees, rolled Corky onto her stomach, leaned over her lifeless body, crying, sobbing, trembling. She pushed down with all her weight on Corky's back, then released, then pushed again, sobbing as she worked. Pushed and released, nothing, no sign of life. Pushed and released, pushed and released, until a convulsion of brown water spewed from Corky's lifeless mouth. Pushed and released. Kimmy sobbed as she worked, salty tears mixing with cool raindrops on her feverish cheeks. Pushed and released. Corky's body rose with another convulsion. Another thick gob of river water pushed out of her mouth. She's dead, Corky knew. Corky's dead! But she pushed anyway, leaning forward, shivering from the cold, from the wet as she worked, sobbing. Corky's dead! I'm not doing any good! I have to stop! I have to stop! I have to get home! I have to tell someone! Pushed and released, even though it was too late. Corky groaned as the murky water poured out of her mouth. She stirred, coughed, opened her eyes, and saw only dirt, tall grass. Her face was down in the dirt, her eyes covered with a film of water. She blinked, choked. Putrid brown water spilled over her chin. Corky! Corky! Where was that voice coming from? Corky raised her head. She turned to see a girl on her knees beside her. Kimmy! Kimmy smiled down at her. You're alive! Kimmy, you're okay. Kimmy tried to reply, but tears choked her words. Corky coughed. Her mouth tasted sour. She reached up to brush the matted hair off her forehead. The rain pounded down around them, over them. Neither girl seemed to notice. I'm so cold, Corky finally said, shuddering. Kimmy helped her to sit up. I thought you were dead, Kimmy said, shivering too. Corky didn't seem to hear her. She sat up and gazed wide-eyed around her, ignoring the rain. After a long while, she climbed unsteadily to her feet. Let's go. I'll help you. Kimmy wrapped an arm around Corky's trembling shoulders. I'm alive, Corky said, still dazed. I'm alive, and you're alive. Yes, Kimmy said, and smiled. Slowly, she started to lead Corky up the trail to the top of the cliff. Oh, Corky uttered, a frightened cry, and pointed back at the water. Look. Corky turned from her friend, back to the dark waters. Something stirred near the shore. She took a reluctant step closer, squinting against the rain. A light spot in the water. A circle of light. And inside it, a reflection. A face. Corky stared hard, trembling, breathing hard. It's Bobby's face, she realized. It's Bobby's face in the water. It's Bobby. And she's smiling. Corky stared, smiling back, until the reflection broke into tiny pinpoints of light. Bobby's smiling face dimmed and then shimmered away. Feeling peaceful, Corky turned back to Kimmy. Let's go home. Arm in arm, they began to make their way up the cliff through the cool, cleansing rain. Epilogue.
Tigers, let's score! 6 points and more! Tigers, let's score! 6 points and more!
The cheers rang out through the gym. Corky had done this chant a million times, but now it seemed fresh and new. That sounds great, Mrs. Green exclaimed from the sidelines. Even she notices the difference, Corky thought. She flashed Kimmy a smile as the girls got into position for the pyramid. Don't drop me, Corky teased. Who, me? Kimmy replied with exaggerated innocence. Corky made her way to the top. Liberties in rhythm, Miss Green called, gripping the whistle around her neck. The 6 cheerleaders obediently struck the well-practiced pose. Excellent, Miss Green said. Straighten your back, Ronnie. Time for my jump, thought Corky. She glanced down at Kimmy. Her throat tightened, a moment of panic. Then she stepped off. Kimmy caught her easily. Perfect, Miss Green declared. The girls all cheered. Way to go! Hannah slapped Corky on the back. Are you putting on weight? Kimmy teased. After practice, Corky, Kimmy, Ronnie, and Deborah squeezed into a booth at the corner. All 4 of them talking at once. One of the basketball players had told Ronnie a dirty joke she couldn't wait to share. Corky laughed hard at Ronnie's joke, even though she'd heard it before. Deborah had news about Gary Brandt's new girlfriend. Kimmy wanted to discuss how she should have her hair cut on Saturday. The waitress stood impatiently, tapping her pencil against her pad, waiting for the four friends to stop talking so she could take their order. "I'll just have a Coke," Deborah said finally.
"Me too,"
Kimmy said.
"A Coke and an order of fries."
The waitress turned her attention to Corky. "Know what I have a craving for?" Corky asked Kimmy, peering at her over the top of the menu. Kimmy shrugged.
"No, what?"
"Pea soup," Corky said softly.
"No way!"
Her three companions shouted in unison. "I'll have a burger and fries," Corky told the waitress. All four girls collapsed in righteous laughter. The waitress headed back to the kitchen, shaking her head, wondering what on earth could be so funny about pea soup. I hope you have enjoyed this audio recording of R.L.Stine Fear Street, Cheerleaders, the Third Evil. This concludes the Cheerleaders saga. I want to thank everyone for listening and sticking with it, even though it's taken me a long time. I hope to see you all at the next book.